When anybody starts working on a manga, one of the first things they have to figure out is this. Should I start a series or make a one-shot? Now this question seems simple on the surface, but it's a pretty loaded question, and honestly there's no wrong answer. You will learn something from either one, though that doesn't make it easier to figure out which one is the best to go with for you. So today I'm going to help you decide which one to go for. I'll go through each option and do the hard thinking for you, but in the end, it will be your choice. For clarification, this is more for the purposes of improving yourself as an artist that likes making comics, webtoons, manga, and so on. So let's start with one-shots. What is a one-shot? A one-shot is a short, dopey manga that is usually about 20 to 50 pages long. One-shots are not as popular as series are, and for good reason. They start and stop within a finite amount of pages, and that, my friends, is the point. Obviously, they can still be popular, but not as much as a series can. One-shots, from a creator's perspective, are meant to be something you can easily share to show your stuff. Whether it be to show your art capabilities, writing capabilities, or both, why not? Other times, however, it's used as a way to pitch a story, sort of like a pilot for an animation. You're showing what your story has to offer just enough for the reader to want more, to salivate for more. It's cool to note that a lot of popular manga today started as one-shots, like My Hero Academia, Naruto, Dragon Ball, Bleach, and so on. Even though this is the purpose of one-shots, sometimes they can stand on their own, sort of like a movie, just minus the 50 sequels that come with it, but you know, you get it. As a creator, you will be recommended to make a one-shot instead of a series, and there's many good reasons for this. One good reason is that in the comic space, getting someone to read your shit is hard, especially if it's beyond 80 pages. People either read through all of it within 5 seconds, or read the first 4 pages and go, yeah, I'm gonna put a bookmark on this. So it's easier to read and recommend. And another good reason is it's easier to create around 20 pages as the total length if you decide that's all it needs. And again, it is easier to recommend that small amount of pages. It's not asking a lot out of someone to read through that. And it's not asking a lot out of you to draw 20 pages. That's like nothing. The only thing that can take a while might be the story, because I know I struggle with that. To further instill this point though, some manga contests and programs prefer one-shots as opposed to series. A big example of this is Viz Media, with their program literally called Viz Originals One-Shots Program. These programs usually have editors reviewing your work to give you critique, which, to be honest, that helps the most. My last positive is that one-shots are pretty low committal, which means that they're ripe for testing out ideas. If you have a short story that you really like and it's fully written out, then make it a manga. It's really not that bad. Now slow down there, am I saying it's easy? No, this shit's not easy, but it's way less stressful than managing a series is. So with all of this, you might be thinking to yourself, well, that answers that. Thanks, random YouTube guy, as you walk off into the sunset with a stack of staple paper, while also thinking, I should subscribe to that DRAN guy. Oh well. And then you hear me in the distance. But wait! I haven't even told you why you might want to start a... So what's a series really? It's a collection of chapters that tells a continuous story throughout time, with each previous chapter building off of each other. With this in mind, you might be thinking, why would I make a dang series? I'm not a popular artist or nothing, I'm just a guy who's gonna read this junk. And while that's true, making a series becomes more beneficial than making a one-shot sometimes, especially when it's done for practicing. The thing that makes a series special is how long they can last for. This is because you have much more of a freedom to build things up how you want without worrying about jumping to the next plot point right away, because you have to finish the entire story within a set amount of pages, and oh my god, it's page 16 and this isn't done, and like we haven't even gotten to the climax yet. Instead, like, chill the fuck out, dog. Chill out, dude. It ain't that serious. There's not much of a rush, and you can really experiment with the kind of pacing you want too. Not just that, you can experiment with a lot of other things as well, like art styles, paneling, writing style, scenes, and so on. I'm aware you can also do this in one-shots, but the reason why I mention a series having this feature specifically is because when a series gets off its feet, it's running. Slow down, dude, slow down. Bro, slow down. Slow down! It's in the marathon that seemingly has no end, which means these characters you make and start with can basically be the characters you do everything with, as well as making new characters for them to interact with on the fly. You literally just have a world there to experiment in and don't have to worry so hard about starting a whole new project every time. In that sense, a series technically saves you some time, as building up one-shots from start to finish and back to back can get very exhausting. IMO. And to be real, sometimes when you have a really good idea for a story that is highly interesting, you should just go for it. I've had plenty of ideas for stories where I believed it was so cool and interesting that every time I pondered about it on a dreary night, I would get more and more ideas for what to do with it. And sometimes it feels good to just pursue an interesting idea you have. And because it's a practice comic, it means you can have fun with it. Yay! At least, this is why I prefer to practice manga by making a series, because one-shots, in my experience, feel like I'm making a manga because I want something nice on my portfolio rather than making something cool. While, yeah, they can still be cool, it just feels like work, and not the dream job type of work. While making one-shots is probably the smarter option, at the end of the day, it's all about consistency. If a series can drive you to keep making manga every day, then it's worth it. That's why we all started this shit, dude. That's why we all started this instead of becoming like engineers and doctors and like something that probably pays a lot more, but you know, whatever. This is my opinion anyway. You don't have to follow that last section, but it is worth noting, methinks. Side note here, but if you like manga, then I'd recommend you to join my Discord server. It's in the description. You can talk to me and others that like manga and whatever else there is to talk about. Here's some fan art from my epic Zombie Sword Girl enjoyers. I really like this fan art. Anyway, holy smokes, that was a lot of rambling. Allow me to wrap it up for you in a neat package. First off, however, it's important to note that there isn't a bad option here. Both of them are good, so you can't fuck up. Just pick the one that you'll finish, and I promise you, you will be fine. Anyway, so here's the list of pros. Feel free to pause the video. Got it? Okay, now here are the cons. Don't pause the video if the color red scares you. This will be over in like 3 seconds. Okay, great, you made it. Anyway, now these two are not the end-all be-all. Again, things can vary greatly depending on what you want to do. These are just some general things I've taken away from doing both as a artiste first, writer second, so, you know, take that for what it is. My personal advice is if you want to get published and that's all you care about, go with a one-shot. You're essentially throwing shit at a wall to see what sticks at both publishers and the general public. Whatever does stick with potential can get you seen, and best case scenario, you get picked up by a publisher. Yay! And if not, you've got some stuff on your portfolio to share in contests, to editors if you can find one, and so on. It's just really handy to have. Yeah. Also, side note, it gives you some practice to market yourself with a complete product, because guys, let me tell you, being an artist is just a funny way to say you're a marketer. Sorry to break it to you, it's true, yeah, I gotta tell you, if you want to live with your art, you want to live off of it, you gotta market it. I'm right! Why are you booing me? I'm correct! As for a series, this is best if you've got a passion project series and it's a concept that is something you really believe in. So much so, you're okay with continuing working on it, ideally with a job that keeps you afloat while you do. It's a bit of a two birds, one stone situation, since if people end up really liking what you're making, you're successful in being self-published. That's the goal, right? And if not, then it's just a practice manga for yourself. Psst, this is what I've done and am currently doing. Link is in the description for my manga if you want to see how it's going. At the end of it all, make sure what you're doing is enjoyable to you the most, because if it's not fun or enjoyable and sucks ass, you will not be consistent and you will fizzle out. Both are viable, it just depends on you. There's tons of success stories in both paths to inspire you. So yeah, have fun, like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed yourself, and yeah, that's it, bye.